Picture this. You're standing with a group, having a normal conversation, when another man cuts in and decides to call you boy, kid, or champ. He says it loudly, looking around to make sure everyone caught his little stunt. This specific behavior is known as the aged emotion. It is a calculated, manipulative verbal trap designed to assert false dominance. By using a term reserved for children, he is trying to establish a fake hierarchy where he is the superior adult and you are the subordinate. When faced with this trap, most targets fail in one of two ways. If you get angry, raise your voice, and tell him to stop, you validate his frame. You react exactly like a child throwing a tantrum. Alternatively, if you awkwardly laugh it off to avoid conflict, you simply hand him the crown and accept the disrespect. There is a way to completely dismantle this public power play without ever losing your temper. It requires a specific step-by-step strategy called the authority reversal. Once you master this technique, you take the exact energy of his attack and redirect it. His attempt to assert dominance becomes the exact instrument of his own public humiliation. Step 1 begins the exact millisecond he drops that condescending word. You must execute an absolute, complete physical stop. Freeze whatever you are doing mid-motion. We call this the freeze. By dropping your current action and saying absolutely nothing, you force a heavy, intensely uncomfortable silence to fall over the entire group. You need to hold this silence for exactly 2 full seconds. That sudden drop in audio acts like a vacuum. It strips away all the background noise and draws the undivided attention of everyone in the room directly onto him and the mistake he just made. Your natural human instinct will scream at you to immediately defend yourself or talk over him to reclaim your status. You have to fight that urge. Speaking too quickly signals panic. By owning that quiet space instead of rushing to fill it, you take the heavy psychological pressure he tried to put on you and drop it squarely back onto his shoulders. While you are holding that silence, you execute the next physical action. Turn your head and lock unbroken, unblinking eye contact directly onto him. This is step 2, the disappointed stare. And here is a crucial warning. You must completely drain any visible anger or frustration from your eyes. Anger signals he successfully got under your skin. What you want to project is absolute disappointment. You look at him the way a king looks down at a court jester who just forgot his place. Now that you have his full attention, you move to step 3, the cold delivery. When you finally break the silence, your voice must be completely flat, cold, and slow. Here is the exact script you will use. You look him in the eye and say, "I am going to assume you just misspoke. Do not ever call me that again." That is the entire script. If you add any extra words, offer a justification, or inject emotional flair, you instantly dilute the boundary you are trying to set. Delivering this flat, strictly enforced boundary provides undeniable proof of your maturity. It creates a stark, embarrassing contrast against his petty, childish behavior. When you pair unblinking disappointment with a perfectly flat verbal delivery, you universally establish yourself as the most powerful and mature person in the room. The millisecond the last word leaves your mouth, you execute the final physical action. Abruptly break eye contact. Welcome to step 4, the erase and pivot. Turn your body entirely away from him and instantly resume your previous conversation with a different bystander in the group. There is a major failure point here that you need to avoid. Do not pause to wait for his apology, his excuse, or any response whatsoever. This flowchart shows why waiting is fatal. Pausing to listen yields the floor, giving him an opening to speak and reclaim authority. By physically pivoting away before he speaks, you completely strip him of his voice, denying him any opportunity to mount a defense. Think about his physical state in that moment. He is left standing there, completely isolated from the flow of conversation. voiceless, and highly visible in his humiliation. Physically erasing his presence from your attention is the highest possible form of social boundary enforcement. By perfectly executing these 4 steps, you have successfully maintained your frame. You didn't let him dictate the tempo of the interaction or pull you into a reactive state. Because you removed his audience and his voice, the aggressor is left with no path forward. His attempt to look superior has resulted in him standing alone, ignored by the very group he tried to impress. The people around you have just witnessed a complete demonstration of emotional regulation. They see a man who is unshakable under pressure, someone who doesn't need to shout to be heard or fight to be respected. A high-value man does not throw tantrums over petty insults. He quietly enforces his boundaries and removes access. Mastering your mind translates directly to mastering your reality. Subscribe to continue leveling up your psychology.